Evaluation phase. We are now in the fifth phase of our Pdme cycle, and we're going to be discussing in the next slides and the next presentations the elements about what is internal evaluation, external evaluations, an evaluation plan, or also the terms of reference and the use of evaluation reports. Project evaluation. Here's a definition. It's a process that attempts to determine as systematically and objectively as possible the relevance, effectiveness, and impact of the activities in light of their objectives. So what the evaluation is doing is, based on the information that it has, is trying to determine the contribution of those activities to the goal of the project. And the mark and the recommendations that are given help the organization or the project make improvements. The project evaluation also helps key stakeholders, and that includes the organizational management, the donor, even with the beneficiaries, understand how and to what extent the project is responsible for particular measured results. So when we look at the data in our project, we start seeing some good results, and we want to know if the project was the cause for those changes. And even when we have data that doesn't show too good, we also want to know the reasons and the causes behind that. Evaluation measures how well the project activities have made expected objectives. So we see also that measures the extent at which changes in outcomes can be attributed to the project. An attribution is a key word, because it helps us determine that the effort, the investment that was done with the project has actually created that improvement. That all that activities that have been done can be attributed to the success of the project and to achieving those goals. There may be other factors that could have contributed one way or another, but we want to know to what extent the project was responsible, so we can attribute that. Monitoring is also known as process evaluation, and it's a different level of evaluation. It's done at the levels of activities and outputs. Here the evaluation is trying to look at how was the project efficient in the use of the resources. The resources in terms of the people, the time, the budget that was given to the project, and how efficient it was to produce and to deliver all the activities. Also, was the project implemented as planned? Did we have to make any changes? There were any modifications of the plan? And what was the response to risk issues and changes? How the team responded to risk events, how they were able to manage issues, and how they were able to manage and coordinate changes through the life of the project. When we look at our diagram and we understand the logic between activities, outputs, objectives, and goals, monitoring usually happens at this level. That is our process evaluation. That is the day-to-day that happens in the project as they start working and completing the activities and tracking outputs. Evaluation will mostly look at the results at the outcome level, and even at the impact if there is enough time in the evaluation to look at some results. What it wants to do is that if all these activities, the way they were designed, they created the intended changes. And the evaluation will tell us how far we were from it, if there were any issues, any challenges, or even opportunities. Here are some of the basic steps for any project evaluation. The first step is a review of the situation. Whether we are hiring an external consultant or an internal monitoring evaluation specialist, the idea is that the team who's going to be doing the evaluation needs to understand the project and its environment, all the challenges, all the issues, the context, the design documents. Having that good understanding, then they go into gathering all the evidence. That means collecting data, identifying all the data sources, interviewing key stakeholders. This is where they're going to be asking for information from our monitoring system. All the data that the project has been collecting in terms of the inputs, activities, the outputs, all the information about what happened will be used in step 3 when they analyze the evidence. And they look and identify trends. Trends help them understand that there has been a change. There has been a process by which the activities have been creating changes and the indicators have been moving, have been changing in their values. And out of that information, they're able to draw some initial conclusions. Step 4 is the findings and the reports. This is where they will list all the lessons learned and recommendations. Lessons learned includes things that the project did very good, that they need to be highlighted and, if possible, replicated in other projects or in other areas of the organization. Most of the recommendations, depending on the type of evaluation, a midterm evaluation, the recommendations will go to the project so that in the next phase they can incorporate some of those recommendations and increase their chances of success. If it's a final evaluation, the recommendations will go to the organization and to the donor, mostly looking to the future projects and maybe even changes that organization needs to take before embarking in a new project. Let's remember our original cartoon. Evaluation practically tries to connect these 2 points. What was the problem and what beneficiaries really needed. In that process, we identified that we had a plan that looked like this, but the idea of our implementation might be something like that. Trying to understand these gaps, it's also part of the evaluation to help us understand and see where we might be having some problems. And it's not only during the implementation. The evaluation can even go beyond and look at the way the organization designed the project. You may be able to find some weaknesses in the logic or in the assumptions that were made, or in the decisions and the level of support the project got from the organization, and the lack of communication about the different actors. But what is important is that the evaluation will give you this holistic view of the project from an unbiased perspective and tell you what happened and what needs to improve.